Have you ever been stumped at what to write about yourself on an About Me page for your personal website? Or maybe you're like me and you have a lot of different interests and aren't really sure how to tie it all together. If you've been confronted with any of these, you're in luck. In this episode, I wanted to share a little bit about what I've learned through the years about having and curating a personal brand. I'll talk about why it's important to have a personal brand. Why should you even care? And then next, I'll talk about my own strategy about how I've been able to cultivate and evolve my own personal brand. And then finally, I'll give you tips and how-tos on how to do this for yourself. So let's get started. Hi, I'm Leah Federhoff, a user experience designer, writer, and life strategist. I want to inspire you to thrive in work and life. I want to tell you, first of all, why even care about your personal brand. It sounds kind of icky or almost like you're selling yourself or it's like marketing, right? And I used to think that way too. But what I've learned over the years is, first of all, it gives you a lot more clarity into your own why. What is it that gets you excited to wake up in the morning? And what is that life vision you have for yourself, right? Why are you here? What are your gifts and talents? And what is that narrative that you want for yourself? Next, how do you want to convey your story to other people and to the world around you? I found that when you're able to articulate what it is you do and what you're all about, it makes it easier for other people to fill in those gaps. So you start to attract like-minded people who are into what you do, who are fans of what you do, or other folks who are doing stuff just like you, so you can collaborate with them. And then if you have small talk at a party where you have to explain what it is you do, or you're confronted at a job interview with that question, tell me about yourself, it'll be easy for you to, right off the bat, say what it is you're about. And of course, that builds confidence because then you're not struggling, like trying to weave in all these different disparate pieces of information about you. And instead, you can bring forth like one cohesive story. And that brings me to my next point. So what have I learned over the years as I've moved from different jobs, brought in more side hustles, interests, pursued many passions at different times? The one strategy I want to share with you is coming up with the one common thread that weaves all of these stories together. This is where that creativity comes in. So for me, I've realized throughout the years, and it's gotten easier for me to understand over time, that my common thread is starting things. It's making the ambiguous clearer. So that's what I do in my work as a designer and in life experience design and even here with Swishie. It's all about trying to make the ambiguous stuff, things that feel fuzzy, things don't feel clear, to something that's more crystal clear. And part of it is just getting started, right? And that's where the creativity comes in. So I've told stories over the years of how when I was in high school, I started an anime club. In my first or second job out of college, I co-founded a Toastmasters club. In college, I started Dance Dance Revolution club. I mean, like probably almost every situation I've been put in, I've started something up. And I thrive on that energy of bringing something to life. I'm now a mom of 2, and I've gotten to bring 2 people to life. And to me, that's where the most exciting changes happen, especially like on a really big picture, like high level. Like I don't get intimidated anymore when confronted with like a blank piece of paper, a blank canvas, or a really fuzzy problem statement that I need to design around. And that's because I draw energy from it. And I found that not everyone is like me. And that's what I want you to hone into. What are those things, those threads that get you interested in certain skills, in certain jobs, in certain roles, and things that you do, and work with it. I didn't know this about myself until like a year or two ago, and I'm still exploring that. Like, what is it that I enjoy about getting things started? But I'll tell you what, like you heard in my intro, I like to define myself, at least here on the Swishie platform, as a user experience designer, a writer, and a life strategist. And I think that's a good way of how I want to present myself to you. But I'm also a mom, a wife, a resident of California, a UCLA Bruin alumni. Oh, and what I have on my LinkedIn, right? So let's talk about context next. But in LinkedIn, I also have updated that area underneath your name where you can put whatever title you want from the default, which is typically just your role at the company you're currently at, to you really could edit it to anything you want, right? Mine is community builder, mentor, and designer/design strategist. And why I put that there in that forum is because I get to highlight not only starting this community for Swishie and life experience design, but also my local design community, Roseville UX. I'm a mentor, and it's something I've done both when I was at Google, and now outside of Google, I help folks going through the Interaction Design Foundation Bootcamp, through Rookie Up. I like to mentor other up-and-coming designers. And for Swishie, I mean, that doesn't, that's not as relevant. But on LinkedIn, right, where you're talking about your professional skills and what you enjoy doing, that's a great way to put that. So that's what I like to do as well. Not only find that common thread, right, which is going from 0 to 1 for me, going from, ambiguous, fuzzy stuff to helping, myself bring clarity to folks like you, but also as a designer, bringing clarity to people who want to start projects or create a new product and aren't sure where to start. And then keeping context into play. Because I really like birds, and in some context you'll, hear me talk about birds, but probably not on my LinkedIn page. So the next thing that I want to dive into are how-tos and how can you get this for yourself. And here are some tips on starting to cultivate your own personal brand through storytelling. First, I want you to take an inventory of who you are. What is your current situation? What have you done in the past? And you can check out my episode on mind mapping to try the mind mapping exercise for this. You can create a vision board, or you can just do a mental brain dump of everything on a blank sheet of paper. Just list it out. What are your skills, interests, characteristics, values of who you are? And then give that some time, like do 10 minutes, find a quiet space to do that. Next, circle 3 to 5 interests or come up with 3 to 5 themes around everything you wrote down. And these should be things that you want to identify as, whether that's certain skill sets you want to continue being a representative of who you are. They could be more aspirational. What is it you would like to be doing? And then job titles. It might not always reflect who you are and what you do, but a nice thing about it is it immediately gives people something to start to understand your world. So one example, as I mentioned, I'm a designer. 13 years ago, I was still a student, and what I put on my LinkedIn was aspiring designer because I didn't feel that confidence to tell people I was a designer yet. And it's not a bad thing to be aspirational, but it meant I started to seek out opportunities, and people knew that I was looking for design jobs. And that's how I landed internships, because they knew I was a student and wanted to be a designer. Same thing now. I say that I'm a writer, and it's only in the past, year that I've started to write more as a habit instead of, just from time to time. And part of that is because I want to be a writer. Before I would have been, an aspiring writer. But now I feel comfortable enough having submitted to some publications, having a regular blog, that I enjoy writing. And it's something that I want to tell other people that I do. So your turn. What is it? What are those interests, those themes that come up for you that you want to be known as? You can not just put things that are career related, but I also want people to know that I think my Twitter still has this, I love chocolate ice cream. Or I'm a beer lover. Like, I like, exploring different craft breweries in California. That I'm a mom. And, once again, these are relevant in certain contexts than others. So, like, you can always lean more heavily on some of those depending on who your audience is, right? It's still a personal brand that's authentic to you, but the same way, like, you see different messaging on a LinkedIn page versus a Facebook profile versus, like a Medium publication or a commercial on TV, right? There are different ways to speak about yourself depending on what that context or what that channel is. Once you have those 3 to 5 interests that really resonate with you, what I want you to do next is figure out which channels you want to communicate this in, and then how you want to tell your story to others. So you might go deeper on one or a few of those areas on your website, maybe mention a couple hobbies on your About Me page on your website, but then maybe that becomes the starting point for your new community meetup or something like that. So start to have those, pockets or, sub-stories and where you want to communicate that. The last thing to know is that your story will evolve over time. Just like we're never the same person we were 5 minutes or 5 years ago. This is the part of a lifetime journey. You evolve as you get closer to the vision you had for yourself. Having that self-awareness, you might start to refine how you define some aspects of yourself and leave other aspects of yourself because they no longer serve you. And start to ask yourself, do a check-in once a year, every New Year's or whenever, every 6 months, every 5 years, do these things still hold true about me? Are there things I've accomplished or things that I've done since then that I want to build into my story? Or maybe I want to evolve something. Stay aware, stay curious, try new things and see how they fit in and whether they fit into this life story, this narrative, and this personal brand you want to use to convey who you are out into the world. So what's your common thread? Leave a comment below and let me know. If you want even more weekly inspiration, check out the link below or go to swishie.com and join my newsletter, where I provide even more personal stories and anecdotes, weekly design challenges for your life, and ways to cultivate self-awareness. And sometimes I send freebies out too. Finally, if you're a woman of color who's looking for a like-minded community of folks looking to thrive in work and life, check out my private Facebook group. Thank you for watching and see you next time on Swishie. Make sure to hit subscribe for more videos like this one, where I talk about how to thrive in both work and life.